guys, and welcome to the first ever episode of Beyond the Whistle with me, Matty K, and the amazing Grace Wild. Hi, Grace.
Hello.
How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Good. It's another new podcast for me. I'm racking up the miles on the podcasting. But yeah, what is behind the whistle? I mean, obviously, I approached you for this. So basically, what behind the whistle is a review of the Premier League game
Beyond.
week. Yep.
Beyond.
That's a great start. That's a great start. And that sets the tone for how we are going to be throughout the next however long this journey takes us. Um, Beyond the Whistle is basically a podcast where we just review the Premier League game week. I have seen Grace's content on TikTok, which we'll get to that. We'll plug that later on. She's does amazing work over there, so go check it out. But yeah, so I approached Grace and we said let's talk about it. We can go a bit more in depth on the podcast. We can go game by game, talk a little bit about the main talking points, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important as football fans when you watch games, you are watching 90 minutes of a game and more happens in that game than the goals. So you watch the highlights on matchday, all that sort of stuff. And actually, I don't know about you as a football fan, but for me, I'm looking at the structure, I'm looking at how quickly you can reset, all those type of things that for me are really important parts of the game. And I know that's the same for a lot of football fans.
Yeah, well, I can tell by your content you really look into the game, don't you?
I do.
To be honest, 9 times out of 10, I'm doing something else while the game is on. But the very rare time that I do get to sit down and really watch it, I just like to watch the structure of it and how they're all playing, which hopefully we can dive into a little bit in the game. So I'm here just to sort of keep the pace. Hopefully, you can just give that little bit more in-depth analysis.
No, we are both here to give analysis, 100%. I know you're really doing yourself dirty here because I know you can talk about football and you can talk about it confidently.
Talk about football. I can't even get the name of the podcast right, mate. Well, I mean, what a week to start a podcast. I mean, it's been a crazy weekend, hasn't it?
It's been mental, and to be honest with you, I've spoken to a few football fans this week, and I think it sums up this season. I think this season has been really like you can't really predict what's going to happen. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I think a lot of us thought Liverpool were going to go on at the beginning of the season and just take control, and instead the opposite happened. The wheels came off. We thought maybe a slow start, but then all of a sudden they're losing to teams they certainly should not be losing to, and they're in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah, well, you touched on them. Should we talk about it? It was Liverpool 0, Forest 3, wasn't it? And Liverpool are in a little bit of a crisis at the moment. I did get to watch the highlights of this, didn't get to watch it in full, but yeah, it's just something not quite right, Liverpool. It's not clicking, is it?
No, no, something's not right. I think there's so much you can talk about because Liverpool are major in the media and every single thing that says is so nitpicked at, and I think that can make it hard to actually look at them as a whole. Um, the thing is yeah, Liverpool lost 3-0, but I think in that opening 45 minutes, they could have easily scored two or three, easily. And I think that's what you don't see from the scoreline is that maybe, if we're talking about what the margins are, maybe it's about being clinical, maybe it's about taking their opportunities, and all of a sudden they're 2-0 up and the game's a completely different game. And I think, defensively, they're Kanate has been doing my head in this season. Kanate has been doing my head in, but I can't just talk about Kanate. There's lots of issues. I think a lot of people expected Kirkes to walk in and sort of grab that spot and be as good as and as influential as he was at Bournemouth last season, and that just hasn't been the case for me. I think that step up has really shown. So I just think pretty much in every area there's something not right.
Yeah, there's problems all over the pitch, isn't they? But it's kind of now that Slot's put his sort of stamp on the team, it's kind of just sort of falling apart. Do you reckon there's a problem with the team clicking there?
I think they did really good business in the summer, but I think you expect that business, I'm thinking immediately of Verts. You expect them to come in and click straight away, and that's just not what's happened. And usually that's fine if sort of the rest of your squad is working quite well together. They can make do until that person does click, and when they do click, then they flourish. But I think the problem is, I think it's not football related. It's outside of football. I have a lot more patience for Liverpool this season because of the Diogo Jota situation. I think that has had a massive, massive impact, probably more than they would admit to, in terms of mentality, in terms of resilience, and just general well-being of the players. I can imagine that that's had a massive, massive impact in everything they do. So for me personally, I have more patience with them, and I know Schlott's job could potentially come up, and for me, I am not at that point of saying Schlott needs to be replaced because I think that's unimaginable context. That's unimaginable circumstances for a manager to have to deal with. And I just think getting rid of him would almost be papering over the cracks, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the shot thing obviously is terrible, and I think it is affecting the team a lot more than, like you said, than they'd admit. Even like Andy Robertson when Scotland qualified, which great game by the way. When Scotland qualified, that's all he talked about in the press conference was the effects, and that's all he was thinking about all day was Jota and stuff like that. So yeah, you've hit the nail on the head really. Slot obviously under pressure. How long has he got?
I think, look, I'm going to be more generous because I think I'm a stereotypical old-fashioned football fan where I don't like the switching of managers like it's done these days. I don't like it. I think it's unstable. It is modern football, sadly, so I don't see him getting till Christmas. I think between now and Christmas is critical, and they need to be in the top half minimum, before they can commit to him long term, in my opinion. So they should be there. They should absolutely win those games. Even if they're not winning games that are sort of difficult games, they should be winning enough games to get them in that top half before Christmas. And European spots is where I would say to maybe push on, but it's difficult. I'm going to say till Christmas because I'd like to think give him till Christmas. But yeah,
Oh, we got. Oh, sorry, you froze a second there. The the problem I've got, I think, with the amount of money that they spent during the summer, anything other than Champions League spot is a failure.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I think it's so hard, isn't it? Because I tend to look at the season in blocks. And I think if you have a decent January to May, anything can happen for a team like Liverpool. They could go on and still, cause problems to be a title challenger. So I think that's why for me, I'm giving it till Christmas to make that decision. But you're absolutely right. It would be a colossal failure if they didn't get Champions League football this season. Because they 100% are good enough. 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to Forest in a minute, but I just wanted to ask you one last thing. Rooney was talking about Mohamed Salah, saying that at this point he needs dropping. He's not very good defensively. He doesn't help out. He doesn't run back. What's your thoughts?
I don't disagree with Rooney in terms of, for me, and I'm a West Ham fan, so it's a bit different. I'm not accepting a winger if they're not willing to track back and defend for me. I'm not. I'm not gonna accept that. Salah has been the exception to that because he's been exceptional down the other end. Do you know what I mean? It's like they haven't needed him. It's been fine that he's just clinical going forward. It does frustrate me that I watch him and he's not putting as much in, he's not having the impact going forward. So he needs to be working his butt off, going, in every other department. And I think, I've got a Liverpool fan friend who has been saying this for a couple of weeks now. When do they drop Salah? Because for me, every single player in the Premier League is droppable. There's no exceptions to that. If you're not playing well enough in the Premier League, you have to be dropped. There's not room for patience in that sense because there will be somebody on the bench raring to go and potentially going to put more into the game, going to have more of an impact than someone like Salah at the moment.
See, the thing is, though, for me with Liverpool at the minute, Isak's not clicking. Etike has started well, but I think he is being put off with the Isak controversy. Well, controversy, is that the right word? Do you know what I mean? Like, bringing him in, that's going to unsettle him.
Yeah.
That is a bit hit and miss. Salah just creates them moments of magic. Like if you in the 90, if the 90 plus minute, if you give him the ball, you can expect something. All right, it's not clicks this season, but he's done it so regularly. Can you drop someone like that?
And this is the difficulty because I don't disagree with you either. That's the hard part is you almost feel like Salah has to be part of it just in case you need that magical moment. But for me, I do think that I do think that there are other players, and you mentioned someone like Gakpo. I personally think if Gakpo's not getting consistent football, he needs to go somewhere where he does get consistent football because Gakpo is the type of player who absolutely thrives 180 minutes a week in Europe. I think he can have a real impact if you put the trust into him. I think his season for me has been too up and down in terms of playing time and trust and all that sort of thing that I do think it's harsh in a sense to not drop someone like Salah when he's had the season he's had to then look at someone like Cody Gakpo and say, okay, I gave you 30 minutes and you didn't score, therefore you're going to be on the bench again next week. It just feels a bit harsh. And I do think football is a meritocracy. And I think there has to be a point where the good of the team has to come first. And if Gakpo's going to click with someone, if Gakpo's going to click with Ekatike up front, if Gakpo's going to click with McAllister or something like that, and you can get Gakpo on 10 goals, 15 goals this season, then that for me comes first over Salah potentially bringing you those wonder moments.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Just before we move on, I want to do touch on Forest because I think when a result like this happens, people tend to focus on the bigger team losing rather than the smaller team.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Forest smashed it. I know you said earlier Liverpool could have had two or three. Forest could have had four or five.
Yes, very true, very true. I think Forest needed to go back to basics. I think Ange Ball, and I know we've had the discussion before, Ange Ball got exposed, didn't it, in that Forest team, and Forest needed to go back to basics. And if there's one manager that's going to bring you back to basics, it's going to be Sean Dyche, isn't it? And I think they are used to that. They're a good team. They're a good unit. If you give them clear enough instructions, if you provide that framework for them, they can thrive. And they did exactly that. They just held off. They did classic Dyche football. Defensively, they were strong, resolute, and then they were clinical going forward. And the differences with old school Dyche, I say old school, the last few seasons of we've seen Dyche football, he's potentially not had the talent to make those opportunities consistently clinical. I do think Forest, in the likes of Gibbs White, have the ability to make those opportunities count and therefore get them points. I mean, they were extraordinary. They were really, really good. That's the type of Forest you want to see. They've got the capability to perform like that.
Yeah, and see, this is why I've spoke loads about this in the past. About I can't stand Marinakis. I'm not a fan of him, but getting rid of Nuno was the wrong decision for me. He got you European football. Bringing Ange in and doing a full 180 was just completely just like out the box. That was crazy for the type of style you've been playing. And he's basically gone back to the same style what Nuno had anyway, just with a different.
Exactly.
And I understand that he obviously had a falling out with Nuno and all that sort of stuff, but I don't know. I'm glad that they've sort of settled down a little bit and they've weathered the storm. And I think they are going to be safe this season.
Yeah, I don't think Forest will have a problem. I think you bring in Dyche because he is a bit of a survival merchant, and I think with that side, he should more than easily keep them up. If not, go for a top 10 finish if they can. They've got the players, they've got the squad. I think you look at someone like, and I know it's slightly different, but I do look at someone like Moyes thinking he got it right at West Ham to get us European football. It clicked. If Dyche could get that at Forest, then why couldn't they, go and get themselves a Conference League spot or something similar to that? Because when it clicks, you're going to get points, aren't you? You're going to rise up the table, and I think those opportunities are going to be big this season. I think this season is so hard to predict. We're not looking at the top eight and going, that's going to be the top eight by the end of the season. It could all change. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, what I'm loving about this season is you can win a game and be in third, you can lose a game and drop down to eighth. And I think there's no other team that's sort of getting that at the minute than another manager that's under pressure with Spurs and Thomas Frank. I mean, as a Tottenham fan, I don't really want to get into this, but I'm going to have to. Spurs 1, Arsenal 4. Did you get to watch the game?
I watched as much of it as I could. It was on my birthday, so I had people coming in and out of my house. But I was trying my best to watch as much of it as I could. I caught most of the goals. But I mean, mate, that was domination from Arsenal. That was Arsenal making a statement. And I'll be honest with you, they didn't have to try too hard. They didn't have to come out, of first gear that much, did they, against your Spurs?
Hmm. Okay, well, first thing, happy birthday. The second thing, Arsenal. I don't know if I can say this. We made Arsenal look incredible, but
I agree.
we made them look incredible. We were so bad. It was not a derby performance at all. There was no the way he set up the team. He set up to fail from the start. To be honest, I'm lost for words. I did not think I would be watching a North London derby with that sort of like energy from Tottenham. It was so pathetic. There was no point in being out there. The setup was all wrong. I understand what he was trying to do. I mean, like fans have been calling for the what do you go 3-5-2? I think 3-5-1 in the end. I think it was something like that. Three at the back anyway. That is the people have been screaming for that all season, and it sort of worked against PSG. We just sort of threw it away in the last 20 minutes of the game. I think he was going for something similar, but we were so bad, man. There was so much space on that pitch for Arsenal. Eze absolutely ran the show,
Oh,
unbelievable.
I,
But you can't give
I,
a player of Eze's quality that much space on the pitch.
that's exactly my point. And I think Eze is someone I want to touch on in Arsenal sort of corner when we talk about Arsenal. But the thing for me, and I'm interested in talking to you about this actually, is what is going on with that gap between your defense? Is it because they're not used to that defensive lineup and then that midfield? Because Eze just had so much room to do what he wanted. He could pull the trigger in any which way he wanted to because there was such a big gap. There was no one, it felt like none of your midfielders were protecting your back line in any way. And that is necessary, in my opinion, when you're playing Arsenal as they are at the moment.
Well, you see, I've been listening to a lot of people, a lot of Spurs fans and stuff, and they're saying that Tottenham set up similar to how Brentford would. But then I looked back at Brentford's performances, and I'm thinking that's not right. Like you look at Brentford against Arsenal, they actually went out and they attacked. They had Mbummo and Visser, which are two quality players, which I'd love to have seen out of them at Tottenham myself, to be fair. But they actually attacked Arsenal. We just sat back and we just let them play. And you can't. João Fellaini was probably the best player on the pitch. He actually put in time. He worked hard, and he saw what it was. He saw it was a North London derby, and he'd been at the club for months. Do you know what I mean? But he understood it. Whereas the other players, they just, and this is where I sort of want to talk about Frank being under pressure. People are calling for Frank to go. Right, I don't agree with it. I think it's too early. They've still got a lot of injuries. The club's been up and down with managers in the past recently. Anyway, we've had all types of managers: Mourinho, Conte, Ange, Stellini.
Yeah.
But the I mean, okay, I won't really count Stellini, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And it's at what point do you have to point the finger at the players and say we need a big overhaul here? We can't get rid of players, we can't sell them. We've got the likes of Basuma, Richarlison, and in the past we had Reguilon, which we held on for far too long. Manor Solomon's still out on loan. Do you know what I mean? Like, what point do we need to ship some of these players out?
It's so difficult because I think you're right. I think there was potentially an element of confusion to the way in which the North London derby was approached. I think it was arguably out of their comfort zone. I mean, I highlighted Jed Spence a lot. I think it was Jed Spence, um, who I've been really impressed with personally. I really like him as a player, but he just looked out of sorts on Sunday, and I just felt maybe the people around him weren't giving him the confidence that he needed, weren't giving him the guidance because he is still young, all those type of things. I think you've got one of the best defenders in the league, if I could be so I don't know, opinionated. In Van der Ven, I really like Van der Ven. I think he's not perfect, but for me, he offers a lot as a centre back. If you refine those little bits, he offers a lot. At what point does he have to step up? Do you know what I mean? And be that leader. And I think you're right about Palhinha. I think he embodied what the rest of them should have been like. Do you understand now what we mean about Mo Kudus?
Yeah, so I think especially early on during the year, we was that was all that Tottenham had going for them. Like there was playing the ball out wide to Kudus, and he was the only one that looked like he could do something with the ball. Xavi Simons was not quite clicking. Well, I mean, he's still not quite clicking yet, but he's still like getting used to the league and stuff. But yeah, Kudus, I do like him, but even he was just non-existent during this game. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Arsenal just ran riot, and I hate to say, I don't want them to be winning the league, but it's hard to say anything. I mean, we'll get on to Arsenal, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I do. I know what you're saying about Kudus, but I think what was your question before? You asked me about the difference between the defence and midfield.
Yeah, I felt there was a massive gap, that Eze could exploit during the game, and he did a lot. I felt there was no connection
Yeah,
between the
okay. So
defence and your midfield.
I think with that, I think the way Thomas Frank had Spurs set up, they set up in a way to sort of not really concede, like naturally. They understand they're going to be under pressure from Arsenal. They're going to run riot, and once Tottenham did concede, the game plan was out the window. For that first half
Yeah,
an hour, we held Arsenal off. You know what I mean? We was looking okay, and we conceded two in like 5 minutes, I think it was, and the game plan's gone. You make a change at half time, which absolutely was needed. I'm not going to criticise Frank for that. We needed to make that change, and then you don't switch on from the second half kickoff, and you concede again. Do you know what I mean? It was only thanks to a Richarlison, probably
oh banger.
probably the best meaningless goal that's ever been scored because it's completely irrelevant. But if it weren't for that, it could have been 4-5. It could have been 6-7-0. Do you know what I mean? We was
Yeah,
awful, absolutely awful.
but no, I think you're right about looking at the players potentially. And what is your view on Van der Ven? Because I think I'm an outsider looking at a centre back that I would, dream to have in my back line. As someone who watches him week in, week out, which arguably I don't. What's your opinion on him?
I mean, I love Van der Ven. He's a quality player. I would kind of like to see him playing out on maybe the wing at some point. A bit of a Gareth Bale.
Oh,
Gareth Bale started at left back. But I think you've got that pace.
yeah,
Why not? Do you know what I mean? He's rapid, and I think to be honest, I think that kind of fosters the first goal because Van der Ven is one of them players where he's 100% or he's trotting along. Do you know what I mean? He's got no middle range.
yeah,
He's either full out or he's sort of just reserving it a little bit. And because he was so quick getting into that ball, it took a deflection off his foot and sent it into the corner. I don't think that the ball was going to go anywhere near where it finished in the back of the net. I'm not saying Vicario would have saved it, but I think he was so quick at getting back and getting that foot in. It took the deflection off Van der Ven's foot and it deflected it into the goal.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, quality player. But yeah, I would at some point maybe like to see him on that left. I mean, he plays there for Netherlands, doesn't he? He plays at left back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
Yeah,
you're right. I think I like all of that. I like seeing attributes of a player and saying, okay, could we use you better elsewhere? I mean, West Ham literally did that with Declan Rice. He was a centre back to begin with, and he suddenly got moved to defensive midfielder and thrived there. So I think it's definitely possible. I think I actually want to retract my statement about him being one of the best centre backs in the league because when I think about it, I think I'm blinded by those key attributes such as his physicality and his pace. That actually, as an all rounder, I don't think I can say that. I think maybe, I think maybe when I think about it, I am blinded. Do you know what I mean? I'm blinded by the potential that his physicality suggests, that his pace suggests, that the way he is as a centre back suggests. His execution of that, maybe not so much. And that's what I think you're getting at in terms of like the goal you conceded and things like that. Maybe his execution doesn't match up to, in my eyes, his potential. Um, but that Thomas Frank thing, I mean, I don't think you can be calling for his edge yet. I don't think so. I think if you look at where you were last season, granted you won a trophy, I don't think you can be. I mean, it was a brilliant start to the season. I think expectations were set high. And I think reality has come in. And I think Thomas, who are you going to get in that's better than Thomas Frank at the moment?
Well, that's exactly it. We're not gonna prize the likes of Glasner away from Palace or Iriola from Bournemouth, and I don't think we've got the capacity to go get a big boy from PSG or something like that. I don't think we can do
Yeah,
it. No, I fully agree. I don't think we should be going under Frank. It's too early yet. I mean, we're looking back at sort of Nuno territory when we sacked him after 3 months. You've got to give him more time. The only thing I will
more
say,
time.
the performances are worrying. Do you know what I mean? We're not even when I went to go see Tottenham Luton in the friendly before the season started. That finished 0-0, and you're thinking, okay, like okay, it's early days. You've had this squad for a few weeks, but we want to see a little bit more here. And yeah, I think he just got the setup wrong, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, we'll touch on Arsenal before we move on because they were brilliant. Where you wanted to mention about Eze?
Yeah, I want to talk about Eze. I think Eze, it's a really interesting thing actually, because I think I went into this season and naturally the highlight or the spotlight, sorry, was on Gyökeres and the striker situation and that being the difference between the winning the league and not winning the league. But if I'm honest, I was interested in the striker situation because I agree, I think it was a massive point for them. But I was really interested in how the introduction of Zubimendi, how that was going to work in their midfield. Their midfield for me was where my head was turned to. And in my head, I'm saying I don't think they're playing all three of them. I can't think of a way that they can play the football that Arsenal fans want and play all three. I'm not sure they could do that. So they're going to have to pick two. I thought Erdegaard would be a guarantee because, the captaincy, all that sort of thing. I actually think Erdegaard being out is a bit of a blessing in disguise at the moment because that Rice, or sorry, Zubamendi Rice as a link up was delightful. I mean, it was every football fan's dream. Eze just had creative license. And I just think that's what he used to have at Palace. That's how he used to thrive at Palace, was because his ability meant he was allowed to do what he wanted. And that's how I felt he ran the show in the North London derby, which is not an easy task. Granted, Tottenham made it that little bit easier. But I just think maybe Erdegaard being injured could be a bit of a blessing in disguise, and we might get the best out of Eze because of how good he is, and what he. I mean, it just watching him is a delight, and I just think I don't know how you feel about the sort of Erdegaard situation, but I wouldn't be rushing to put Erdegaard back in personally.
Well, I was going to ask what happens when he comes back. I mean, obviously, Eze is a quality player, and we all know what happened in the summer with him, Tottenham, and Arsenal. Let's not get into that. But what happens when he does come back?
I'm not sure, and this is the problem with Arteta. This is the issue that Arteta's going to face because for me, the way in which Eze was influential in such a massive game, he scored a hat trick for goodness sake in a North London derby. I can't sit here as a football fan having watched him as a neutral, really. I can't sit here and say, oh, Erdegaard needs to come back in because I didn't feel like that. I felt like the balance was right. I felt like that connection between those three of Zubamendi, Rice, and Eze was so fluid that I'm not saying that's the long-term plan. I'm just saying I wouldn't rush into him coming back in.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of been. It's a nice problem to have. Every team wants to have this sort of problem. Like, who do we play? You know what I mean? Who's our
Embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, and it's been like what 6 years in the making now for Arteta, and it does feel sort of now or never really. If he does bottle this league with the start that he's had and with teams around him dropping points, I think he's going to be gone. But that's a conversation for a later day. But yeah, I mean Arsenal. What's annoying is the look together, the look of team, the look like just dominant all over, and he's frustrating. And what Arsenal have been good at this season, which Tottenham haven't, which is sort of leading me on to the next game anyway. When other teams like Man City and United drop points, teams that are around us, Tottenham can't get the win. We could have been up to I think third or whatever yesterday if could have beaten Arsenal, but we can never do it. That's happened 2 or 3 times this season. And Arsenal, when Man City drop points, Arsenal's there and they just ground out the result.
Yeah, yeah. It's giving me flashbacks to when Leicester won the league in 15-16 because it feels like none of the big boys can capitalize on each other.
Yeah.
And you feel like, the likes of Villa, the likes of Bournemouth, they're just creeping behind you, and they can cause you a problem later on. Their points are adding up. And I just think, in my opinion, as a West Ham fan, that's how I like it. That's what I want to see. Is I want to see the big boys struggling a little bit. I want to be able to go to Old Trafford and get 3 points, or go to the Etihad and get a point, something like that. That makes it more interesting for me. But I think, as a Tottenham fan yourself, that makes sense that it's frustrating that you can't capitalise on, like you say, Man City dropping points, United dropping points, Liverpool dropping points. You need to be able to capitalise on that, because that's a winning mentality, isn't it? That's how you get to the top of the game.
Yeah, no, spot on. I mean, we've mentioned it, so we'll jump to that game now. Man City 1, Newcastle 2. I turned this on at the perfect moment because I'd got it on just at the start of second half. So, what a game though. To be fair, I mean, this could have been 5-all.
I I I mean, did you see some of those Donnarumma saves?
Not just the saves. Do you see some of the misses? I mean, you look at Haaland in the first
Yeah,
half. You look at
yeah.
Phil Foden's miss where he dragged it.
Oh, yeah,
What? Newcastle had chances that they could have buried. I mean, it was a great game for a neutral, end to end. It was fantastic to watch. But I mean, Man City dropping points again.
yeah. And this is the problem for Pep at the moment, is consistency. How is it that 1 minute, they're playing, I don't know, they're playing a decent side. Well, they played Liverpool, didn't they? Was it Liverpool and they beat them? Was it 4-0?
1-0, yeah. Something like that.
4-0.
Van Dijk had that
And
goal.
you think, say again, sorry.
Van Dijk had that goal ruled out.
Oh, yeah, of course he did. Yeah. Um, you watch them in games like that and you think they're back. Right, we're going to see Man City go on a run now. We're going to see classic Man City, Pep's Man City rally together. They're going to be clinical. They're going to get jobs done. And then you see a display like that. And like you say, Phil Foden missing those chances. I mean, it just blows my mind. There was opportunities that Phil Foden was the key player in that game for me, because Haaland was pretty much marked out the game. Haaland didn't have too many opportunities himself. Foden was the one that found himself in the space, found himself with the decent opportunities, and he didn't take them. And you think that is the consistency issue coming in, and I think that's so infuriating, because one, I know a lot of people didn't like City's domination, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching them dance about. I mean, it was an art form. When Pep City were knocking it about and doing like 100 passes before a goal, it was delightful to watch as a neutral, as somebody who wasn't competing against them as such. You knew you were going to go there and lose, essentially. I found that so satisfying to watch. And I love that type of football, that Pep football, but it's just not consistent. And I'll be honest with you, I could see them getting a grip and having a go. And I think that's where Arsenal might come unstuck, is if Pep gets a grip with this City side and they go on a run, then they will cause problems, but they need to get a hold of their consistency.
Yeah, I mean, Man City is one of the few teams that could go on a 15, 16 game winning streak. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if Arsenal's got that capability. I think they're good enough to win 15 games or whatever, but not in a row, I don't think. Whereas Man City has just got that so dominant when they're clicking. And I think it was just a bit of just an off day for Man City. Like I said, Haaland missing them chances, Foden missing chances. It's just, I mean, he was stuck on 99 as well, didn't he, Haaland? He had that chance to go to 100.
Mm.
But yeah, I think out of them 99 goals, he's only scored one against Newcastle as well.
Crikey. I don't know what it is. It's just Newcastle City to me in my head is just always going to be a good game. I just can't. I'd look forward to it. I think it's always a decent one, because I know Newcastle are going to give them a problem. And I think Newcastle have the capability to minimise Haaland like they did. And I think that's a tough job for any defence to do. But I don't know. I feel like Newcastle's defence is one of those defences that can cause him a problem and take him out of the game pretty much.
Yeah, you said something as well. I don't want to jump back to different games and stuff, but I forgot to mention about the. What do you think about the Arsenal second goal? Do you know, with the VAR, because he was ruled out. He was ruled, wasn't he, as a goal? But we'd seen the likes of. I think it was the Van Dijk comment that brought my mind onto it. That was ruled out for a similar scenario. Did you see that?
I didn't get to see the sort of controversy. I knew it was controversial in a sense, and I think VAR is. We should do a podcast just on VAR and the inconsistency and the rules that are applied and the rules that randomly pop up and think, oh, they've been in place for 6 months. Well, why haven't I seen that demonstrated? I think that's a classic example of that. Some days it goes for you, some days it doesn't, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
well, there's a bit of waiting around for Newcastle's second goal as well, but they got there in the end. A big win for Newcastle. To be fair, they needed it because they've been on a bit of poor form as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they do perform. I love Newcastle in the sense, the spirit of Newcastle, which is okay, we'll lose to these smaller teams, but we're gonna give the top six a good go. And I just love it. I love it that they can go against City and have no fear. And I just think that's when that Newcastle team comes to life. It was a really, really good win for them.
Have you been to Newcastle on a game day? Not necessarily for the
I
football. You've
haven't.
been in the city.
Do you know what, Matty? My grandparents are from Sunderland, so I'm a little bit. I can't really say, oh, I like Newcastle because whenever I've gone up there, I've been in Sunderland territory because that's where my family lives. So look, I've never been to Newcastle. I have to say, I would like to go, but I do have respect for the football team. I do like the football team.
Oh, you've honestly been around the city on game day is just incredible. I was there. I was there seeing the show, I think, and Newcastle playing the same day, and on the night, I think Newcastle lost as well, but the town was just buzzing because like they live for it. They live for that Saturday afternoon 3 p.m. kickoff where they can just go have a few beers and the city goes wild. But if you get a chance, you need to go check it out. But Harvey
Absolutely.
Barnes as well. I wanted to touch on him. What a player!
What a player. Harvey Barnes, he's always one of those players that for some reason I feel like he never starts against you, but when he comes on as a sub, you go, oh no. It's
Hmm.
like he has this clinical edge to him. And I think at Leicester, even, you saw his potential. I wish, in a sense, he'd gone to a team where, again, he got consistent football because I think he could really thrive in a team where maybe he's the star. The sort of Jared Bowen at West Ham situation where he's the one that comes up with the goods. And I think he could thrive at that because look at that game. He missed a sitter and it was a sitter, but then he goes on to score both the goals. He gets the win for Newcastle. That's the type of thing Harvey Barnes loves. And I think, oh, what a player. What a player. I really like him personally.
Is it Harvey Barnes that's getting thrown about between Scotland and England as well?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, yeah. There's that discussion. Apparently, he's not thought about it, but
No, he's
if
thought
you're
about
gonna
it.
get if you're gonna
He's
get game
definitely thought
time,
about
yeah,
it.
he's definitely thought about it. He's not thought about it.
The other side of Manchester United 0, Everton 1. You actually texted me about this because I wasn't watching the game, but can you talk me through what happened with this red card?
It was the beef, Matty. It was the beef. I mean, so essentially, I forgotten what the circumstance was, but Idrissa Gay had an issue with Michael Keane's defending, pretty much. And it meant United got a shot off. I don't look, it wasn't on target, I don't think. Don't think it would have caused them a massive problem. But I think he didn't like the fundamental laziness potentially of Michael Keane in that situation. So, I mean, we were busy watching the replay of the chance. And then all of a sudden it goes back and I've forgotten who the commentators were. It's like it's a red card. And we're like, what's just happened? On his own player, what's just happened? And it just again literally slapped Michael Keane around the face. It was amazing. It was like handbags. It was brilliant. It was like playground girls having a fight. It was brilliant.
It was crazy though, because I think from what I have seen, didn't Dan Burn start it? Didn't he push? Who was it? Was it Gahey? Something like that? Not Gahey. Oh, what's his name? It's gone. Who got sent off?
It's just a gay.
Yes, yes, that's yeah. He wanted Dan Burn who pushed him first.
Well, it's not Dan Burn because it was Everton and Man United.
Michael Keane. I'm all over the place. Not Dan Burn. Dan Burn wasn't even playing this weekend. He was suspended, wasn't
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and it was look. That was it. It was Gary Neville, wasn't it? Gary Neville said there wasn't much in it. And I agree, there wasn't much in it. It was sparks between two players, and the problem is the contact with the face. That is just a straight red, pretty much in any context now. And so he just shouldn't have done it. I think had they had a spat, and Pickford was amazing. Pickford was like a security guard. He just took Gay off the pitch essentially. Um, if they'd have just had a spat for half time type situation, but it's because he went for the face. That was the problem. It's just a red card nowadays, no matter how bad the contact is.
Oh, rightly so. Though. I don't think you can't be doing shit like that on the pitch. But you've just talked about Pickford and how good he was in that situation. How good was he all game? Did you see some of the saves he was pulling off?
That man is unbelievable. I saw something today that was like, if he was Spanish, he'd be playing for one of the best teams in Europe by now. But he's English, so he plays for Everton and he's been there for years and he's so consistent. And he's England number one. And I don't think anybody's anywhere near him at the moment.
How is he not at a big six club though?
I have no idea. I ask myself this every transfer window. I'm like, is Pickford still at Everton? Yep, he's still at Everton somehow.
I'm sure he
Somehow he's still at
signed a
Everton.
new deal as well, hasn't he?
Has he? Oh, good for him. I mean, he loves it. He loves it. Maybe it's because he's not glamorous as a goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? He is, he just gets it done. He just makes the saves, moves on, has a good shout about it, and he's happy. Do you know what I mean? He's not glamorous. He doesn't make these beautiful saves, if you know what I mean. It's like just get it done. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he's still at Everton, but if I was an Everton fan, I would be so happy all the time because he's a brilliant goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, you've got to raise questions, especially when Man United was going through the whole their goalkeeper scenario. And I think they'll after that performance, they'll be looking at the game thinking, well, why haven't we gone for him? But for Everton, I mean, the Pickford was quality. Probably kept. Well, I think Everton. He actually won Everton the game. I think
I
Everton
agree.
nicked the goal with a man down. What went wrong for United? Because they being a man down, they should be changing their tactics and going all out at Everton, shouldn't
And that's exactly what they didn't do. That's exactly what they didn't do. And I think I had this spat with somebody on Instagram last night where I commented on Amarim's lack of adaptation, his stubbornness in terms of tactics. And someone said to me, Man United had 25 shots and didn't score a goal. You're right. You're right. But in my opinion, everything they did tactically yesterday did not get did not get the right things out of the players that were out on the pitch. They were putting balls into the box like Sesko was in the box and he wasn't Xerxes was. And for me, they're two completely different types of players. You have to provide for them in different ways. And I think Amarim just did not adapt to the situation and he needed to. And that is going to be his downfall is his lack of adaptation, in my opinion. It was just criminal, in my opinion. I was so frustrated watching that, thinking, you need to change something this game. You get a sort of you poach a goal. They probably win that game if they tactically changed it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Everton did just absolutely sit back. It was a proper Moyes display, wasn't it? Which fair play, absolutely fair play to them. They did exactly what they needed to do, being a man down as well. But yeah, it's not good for United. Is he ever going to get his hair cut?
No, no, not a chance. He'll be platting it soon. There's not no. I just not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. I think you're right giving credit to Everton. I want to give credit to Everton. It was a classic Moyes display, and they were just so resolute. But in my opinion, a better tactics, potentially being more clinical, someone unlocks that defense. In my opinion, it's tough. Everton did exactly what they needed to do. They got themselves the 3 points. It was a brilliant 3 points. They went with a game plan. They stuck to it, and it was fruitful. But the blame for me still lies with United.
Yeah, and it's that conversation, isn't it? United have seen teams around them drop points this weekend, and they can't capitalise on it. There was the last game of the game week. They should be going out there thinking 3 points here is absolutely massive, especially when we'll get onto it now. Burnley nil, Chelsea two. Could Chelsea challenge for this title?
Do you know what? My opinion on this changes every single week. But right now, I'm in the camp of, yeah, why not? Why not? No one else is capitalising. They're creeping up. They're getting points. Are they doing it beautifully? No. Are they just getting the points that they need? Are they slipping up sometimes? Arguably, yes. But I don't see why not. No one else is capitalising. There's no, I don't see Arsenal having a slip up free season. Why can't they be title contenders? They've got the personnel to be title contenders. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with Chelsea, it's just a case of they just go out and they just get it done. You know what I mean? They're not they're not out here smashing teams 5-6-0 and stuff like that. And they just go out, and if it's a 1-0 against Burnley or a 2-0 against Burnley, or you know what I mean, or they get a 1-0 against Sunderland, then so be it. They just go out there and they just get the result. And as long as they keep coming like that, there's no reason why they can't. Someone's got to put pressure on Arsenal.
100%, 100%. And I think you're absolutely right. They just do what needs to be done, and they're not doing it in delicious fashion where we're all bursting to watch Chelsea every week. And I think that does come as an annoyance to Chelsea fans because with the players that they've got, there's there's an element of expectation that it should be better football. But if you're getting the results, you can't argue. I mean, I'm a fan of Maresca personally. I think he's a tactician. I think he did something a couple of game weeks ago that I gave him a lot of credit for, where he switched something at half time, and that was the switch in the game. That was the difference, and it was a big tactical call. And he's not afraid to do that. And I would not be upset. I know I'm a West Ham fan, so I shouldn't want other London teams to win the league, but I wouldn't be upset if Maresca and Chelsea are up there and causing them a problem because I think they have the ability to do it.
Yeah, and they're doing it without Cole Palmer as well, which I think a lot of people were saying that Cole Palmer is the one that keeps that team together, and they're absolutely proving that they're done. You know what I mean? He's been out for a few game weeks now. They're not having to rely on him.
Yeah, he never got back on the bike. I mean, I've sort of forgotten that he plays for Chelsea, and I mean that in the nicest way possible because he's not needed currently. I don't think he's maybe a player you want available, but I don't think he's a necessity at the moment. I think they're doing just fine.
Yeah, I mean, but someone that's not doing fine though is Burnley as a team, aren't they? They're threatening with that relegation, man. I do think they are going to go down as well. What's your thoughts?
I love Scott Parker. I just love that man as a West Ham fan. I love Scott Parker so much. I don't want him and Burnley to go down, but I think it is probably going to happen. I think they've come into this league with the best defensive record in the championship last year, but it's just not enough for me. And we have that direct comparison this season with the promoted side coming up and being balanced and being as good attacking as they are defensive, which is Sunderland. And arguably, you could say that structurally, discipline wise, you could maybe argue that Burnley's backline are more structured, are more disciplined than Sunderland's. But Sunderland don't care about conceding one because they can score two. Do you see what I mean? It's about scoring goals in the Premier League, in my opinion. Whereas in the Championship, having that defensive ability, of course, it's all important, but you've got to have both in the Premier League. And I think that's where they're going to go wrong, is they are consistently hanging on this defensive ability that will get found out because it's 90 minutes of football. They're going to concede one, two, three sometimes. They just don't have the outlet to go on. And I mean, I quite like Fleming. I quite like him, but he's not clinical enough for me. And I just, that's it. Do you know what I mean? I'm sort of looking at Burnley and going, Fleming, okay, that's not going to keep you in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do see sort of Burnley. They're going to be this yo-yo team for the next couple of years, I think, because they're too good for the Championship at the minute, and they're just not quite good for the Premier League. So I think they are going to have that bit of up and down. But yeah, I do think Burnley are going to be in that bottom three come the end of the season. One team that was flirting with it, which you won't be happy with, I think they have just sort of settled the ship a little bit, is your team West Ham.
Yes, indeed. I did watch this one with a lot of intrigue. This was an interesting one. It ended 2-2. West Ham were 2-0 up at half time, thanks to Callum Wilson, who a lot of people didn't want at West Ham, and I wasn't thrilled when he joined because I think it's not a long-term investment, but he has shown he has that striker's instinct, and we have not had that for a long time. He is a natural born striker. He has the mind of a striker. His movement shows that. His instinct shows that. And he gets the goals to prove it. And I think it's a frustrating one. I think if you'd have said to me, you'll get a point at the beginning of the game week, you said West Ham will get a point this weekend away at Bournemouth, I'd have bitten your hand off for it. But it's the manner that, you're always going to be a bit frustrated when you're 2-0 up and you let that go. We got a point from it. I'll take the point. Brilliant. Still positive, still definitely more positive than it was. But Nuno just showed his cards too quick. It was amazing. It was amazing how quickly he showed them. Look, we don't have squad depth at all. January is going to be vital for us. We have nothing off the bench. We offer nothing. One or two injuries. We just have nothing else. And the problem is he took off. We started Guillaume, who's I think he's 18, young Brazilian kid. We started him on the left wing because Somerville got injured. I need to read up on the extent of that injury because if it's long, we're in a bad situation. He didn't have the best first halves. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't the best, but he offered something. He offered an outlet, and I was okay with that. I sort of understand him being taken off at half time, but the problem is he took him off for Carl Walker Peters, which is a defensive move, isn't it? And that's fine. Isolated, you can say, okay, fair enough. He's 2-0 up. He's going to try and protect his lead, but we still have some sort of an outlet. 55 minutes in, he takes off Callum Wilson. That's it gone. He takes off Callum Wilson. He doesn't put on Fulkrug. And granted, when Fulkrug came on, he didn't offer anything. So it makes sense that he didn't put Fulkrug on. But he took Wilson off, put Souček on as a makeshift striker, which has worked a couple of times, but much later in the second half. And we lost it. We lost it because we just accepted the pressure. We just invited all that pressure. And Bournemouth are so good. And this is the thing with Bournemouth is that if they've got 8 out of 10s on the pitch, they didn't have Semenyo, which was a massive opportunity for us, which, I would put him as a 9.5 out of 10 currently, Semenyo. They had 8 out of 10s on the pitch. The beauty is their bench has 6 out of 10. So if you're introducing 6 out of 10s from the 70th minute on, they're still going to cause you a problem. We barely have 4 out of 10s. Do you know what I mean? And they just introduced players who have the ability to have the impact, are fresh legs, are going to go out of tired defence. And that's exactly what they did. And I'm surprised we didn't go on and lose it, if I'm honest. It was Areola who kept us in the game. I just think it was wrong in-game decisions. I'm never a fan of a back three. We went to a back three, pretty much a back five for the second half. I'm never a fan of that. I'm much more a fan of a back four. We had Igor, who's on loan from Brighton, in the middle. That made some sort of difference in terms of stability, but it was in-game decisions and the lack of squad depth. That's what did us. That's 100% what did us.
Got to give some credit to Bournemouth, haven't you? Being 2-0 down. I mean, Areola is he's in-game tactics. He's just phenomenal, and and this is kind of what Tottenham were hoping we was going to get with Thomas Frankie. Like they're so adaptable, but Bournemouth and Areola just do it different. You know what I mean? They're one of them teams that just sort of managed to grind it out again. Look at the start of the season, first game against Liverpool. They look so good, and
yeah,
I did have Bournemouth down to win this, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think you are right. It's the way you lost the way you lost the 3 points. That's what kicks you in the teeth, isn't it?
Yeah. And you're right about Iriola. I think he'll be snatched up at some point. I think he's an excellent manager. I think he doesn't just have a plan B. He's got a plan C, D, E. Like he has it sorted in his head. He's got it sorted. Any sort of situation, he knows how to deal with it, and I love it. I love it. I think 100% they deserve the credit. They should have gone on and won it.
Oh yeah, definitely. What Callum Wilson, is he going to get a England call up?
This is tough. It's too early. It's too early, in my opinion. The World Cup's too far away. He needs to stay injury free. A massive point. He needs to stay injury free, and he needs to stay consistent. And then why not? He's a different type of striker. If he's in form, I mean, there's talks of Welbeck, isn't there? Who scored again at the weekend. There's talks of him as well, and I think they're worthy of the conversation. If that's the type of route that Tuchel wants to go down, then I'm fine with it. They're in form, they're scoring goals. That's the important thing to me. But it's too early for me to make that decision, in my opinion.
Okay, so I want one name, hypothetically. If they both continue in the form that they're in at the minute, who are you taking, Wilson or Welbeck?
Oh, and I'm so biased. I'm going to say Wilson. But to be fair, I am quite good at being neutral. I would say for me, Wilson is more my type of striker. I feel like I could do more with Wilson than I could do with Welbeck. I don't know. There's more all round for me with Wilson when he's on form in comparison to Welbeck. But I would not be upset if Welbeck went.
Okay, see, I'm the opposite. I'd take Welbeck. I think.
Ooh, interesting.
I think he's just got more of the England experience. Different sort of like yeah, different striker. I'd like Wilson there is maybe like the last sort of 10 minutes of a game where you need a striker to hold the ball up and get the ball up that end of the pitch. You know, just hold it and then let the players run around you. I can see that from Wilson, but I just think Welbeck's got that striker instinct a little bit better.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean I can't disagree with you. That's the thing is I think you're right. He has got more England experience, and I think is he less injury prone? I'm pretty sure he's less injury prone than Wilson is. Um, yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one. I quite like the fact that Wilson can be tugged about and kicked and all that sort of stuff, and he stays
Oh, he's
standing
solid.
type situation. So
Yeah.
solid.
Should we look at the next game that we've got on our list? It's Leeds 1, Villa 2.
Ooh, that was one of those games. I need to even look at my notes for that one because that was. I mean, the Metro scored early on. Leeds took the lead again, and then they bottled it. And it's worse because it's at Ellen Road. I mean, you wouldn't want to be in Ellen Road, would you, when that happens? Um,
Horrible, horrible place to
Rogers.
go in.
Oh, I mean, yeah, just dangerous. As an away fan, I can imagine that is a hostile environment. Exactly what football should be. Not dangerous, but hostile. Um, but yeah, oh, what a place. I think Leeds in the end will be frustrated that they didn't get anything, but I think they are just they just dealt with the fact that Villa are on the up and they've got players who can make a difference. I mean, that Rogers goal, I've forgotten, are both of them because one of them was a little flick with a ball in from Marlon, and then the second one was like a dinky free kick. I mean, it was delightful. We ran the show. Villa deserved the points in the end just purely because of the quality of their goals. I think Leeds did go after them though when it was 2-1. They had a goal disallowed, which felt well definitely would have felt unfortunate. Um, but I think Villa are just on the up. Villa are really on the up.
Yeah, it was a great turnaround for Villa as well. Like you said, being 1-0 down, and again, Unai Emery just making the right changes at the right time. He brought that Marlon on, didn't he, who got the assist for Morgan Rogers. And yeah, like you said, that free kick was just incredible. The technique on that, it's so underrated
Oh,
for people who just look at it and think it's just a free kick. It's not just a free kick.
oh
The
no.
technique that he got on that ball to get it up and down from that distance is incredible. And I think for people who haven't seen it, take the time and go watch Joe Hart break it down on Match of the Day because he just nails the analysis on it. It was the way he's worded it is so much better than what I could have done. That's why he's working
But
for me.
I think that's the joy of that free kick though, is it looks simple. He made it look easy. It's so far from easy to actually execute that, but he made it look easy. It was just a delight of a free kick.
And like you said with the first goal as well, that just to get enough of that little flick on as well, it was so clever. But we've not really seen it from Rodgers this season. I know last season he went on that. It was an FPL's dream, wasn't it, last season? But
Yeah.
the Villa sort of got off to a bit of a slow start, but we are sort of seeing a bit of a turnaround for Villa now. You know what I mean? They're getting momentum and stuff like that. Where do you think Villa can finish? Can they get like Europa, Champions League, maybe?
I think sky's the limit for Villa. They had their blip early in the season. If they stay consistent now with the way in which the league is at the moment and how I think it's going to continue, sky's the limit. Do what you can. You know, if you can get yourself Champions League football, what a result. They've got the capability to do that. But realistically, Europa League football still, still European football of any sort for a club like Villa is a success. It's the same as West Ham getting European football. That's a great season, pretty much whatever it is. Obviously, you want the best of the best. But then again, you go into something like the Europa League, you're more likely to win it. And that's amazing. And you and I both know that winning those competitions, and yeah, they're not the Champions League, but they're amazing in their own right. You just, oh, what a night that night is. And yeah, I just think sky's the limit for them. What about you?
No, I agree, and they're doing it without Watkins sort of firing on all cylinders as well, which is like we said about sort of Chelsea. They're doing it without the sort of main man, and I think Rodgers has maybe taken that sort of title from Watkins now. When like a notification popped up about Villa scoring, you just usually would assume it would be Watkins, but yeah, he's just the fact that they're doing it without him being at the races, it's just so impressive. But on the other hand, where Leeds are in a lot of trouble, can you see Falk being sacked?
Do you know what? I've seen people talk about it, and I've also seen people talk about the potential return of Bielsa. What
Oh,
do you think of that?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, just while we're talking about this, have you seen? I know this is going right back to the start of the pod. With Liverpool, have you seen who is favourite to replace Slot if he does get sacked?
No.
It's going to surprise you.
Go on.
It's only Big Ange.
Oh no. Oh no. No.
There's a lot of talk of Ange Postecoglou taking that Liverpool job. I can't see it. I don't think they'll be that stupid.
Who
Maybe.
is smiling down on Ange? Because his results ain't suggesting, oh, let's get the Liverpool job. Who is smiling down on him? Because how is he even in the conversation? No disrespect to him. How is he even in the conversation? No, no, stick
It's
with
just
Klopp.
who he is, mate.
Oh, I know, I know, I know.
I think
No, we're not starting that.
it's the fact that he's. I think he's so lovable as a man. I love him. I love him to bits. Do I think he should have been sacked? That's a whole different podcast in itself. But I love the man, and I think he's just got the charisma. That's why he gets the sort of opportunity. Personally, go back to Celtic, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the way
yes.
that Scottish league is at the minute, and Celtic knocking on the door. I think the 4 points behind. Is it Hearts at the top, or I can't remember, Hibs or something.
Oh, I've
Um,
forgotten. Yeah, I'm not great with Scottish football. Sorry.
no, okay, it's Hibs or Hearts. I can't remember.
I think Hibs. I think it's Hibs. Something's telling me Hibs.
The 4 points clear, but Celtic's got a game in hand. Go back to Celtic if that opportunity comes up and turn that club around and get back to winning ways. But anyway, that's a different conversation. Getting so sidetracked, I love it. Yeah, Bielsa. You see, the thing is, if they're going to do it, they sort of need to pull the trigger like ASAP because you can't leave it too much longer, especially with the January transfer window approaching. And he's not going to he's not going to be the type of guy who comes in, gets relegated, and probably stays there. He needs that sort of high profile game. But I think if they are going to sack him, they need to sort of pull the trigger now and bring in whoever they're going to bring in, whether it's a Bielsa or whoever.
I totally agree. And then he needs to have time. And I think, look, I'm all for Bielsa coming back purely for the memes,
Mm.
purely for the banter. I just love the carnage that man causes. And I think Leeds fans would just love the love affair again. Um, is it the right choice? Is it emotion over actually the right choice potentially? Look, I've never been the biggest fan of Daniel Fark, if I'm honest. I don't. He just doesn't. He just doesn't do it for me in terms of management, obviously. Um, but Bielsa, he's more interesting. Look, I'm here for it. Short and sweet. I'm here for it because why not? I mean, I think they need something like that is going to inject passion and love for the game again to get them through this season because they are in danger. And the Ellen Road pull is so big that fear of Ellen Road and the hostility and everything surrounding it. You add Bielsa to the mix of that. Leeds become a bit more scary again, if you know what I mean. And I'm down for it.
See, a team that has been having a little bit of managerial questions is Wolves. The game finished Wolves nil, Palace 2, and there's a lot of Edwards chat, isn't there? Should he have gone there? Should he have left Middlesbrough? Personally, I see why he's done it, and it's purely a move for him on personal terms with his family and his connection with Wolves, etc. I can't see it happening without Wolves establishing that that they are going to get relegated this season. You know what I mean? They're still on 2 points, however far into the season we are. They are going to go down. There's got to be something in that contract that says we will not sack you if you get relegated. That's the only reason I can see that he's actually gone there. It must go down with Wolves expecting to be relegated for Edwards to then bring them back to the Prem.
Yeah, I mean, right, West Ham a few seasons back, we brought in someone called Jordan Hugill. He was a massive meme at West Ham. He barely played, and it was purely because we were floating with relegation. He was a good relegation player. This is how I feel about Rob Edwards. That is acceptance, if you ask me. I don't think it's ambitious, but I think it's long-term planning. And I don't dismind him. I don't know about you. I quite like him. I quite like Rob Edwards. I think you're right. It is a personal move for him. And I think, you know, Wolves don't look good. Wolves really don't look good. And that's saying something coming from a West Ham fan. I think it's only a matter of time for Wolves at the moment. And I've spoken to Wolves fans and they feel the same way. There's almost a level of acceptance. And I think Rob Edwards' recruitment, um, I think it's only going in one direction. But I do think they could go down to the Championship and be a really good side.
Yeah, and that's sort of exactly what I'm saying. I think they will go down with Edwards and they will give him the championship to get back up, and then they'll go again. I think it's a form rebuild for Wolves, which
I totally agree.
I was saying a while back. You lose. I mean, they sold most of the best players. You know what I mean? Ryan Aït-Nouri and the striker.
Cunha.
Cunha. Yeah, they sold him to United and stuff like that. So, but they haven't replaced them, and that's been the problem.
No.
You look at the likes of Bournemouth had their defence ripped apart, and you know what I mean. They're still kicking on in the Premier League. Palace lose Eze, they're still kicking on in the Premier League. Whereas Wolves haven't done that.
Brentford.
Brentford
Brent,
lost.
yeah.
Brentford lost the manager. They lost the backroom staff. They've lost the players. They lost the goalkeeper. You know what I mean? They got absolutely torn to shreds. And we're going to get on to Brentford in a minute, but they're still kicking on in the Premier League. Wolves just haven't done it, and you've got to start to question the ownership.
Yeah, I think that's if they're one of those ownerships that for me doesn't tend to come up as the one of those controversial ones, you know. I think there has been very controversial ones and that's why they get the limelight. But I think you're right. This just looks like acceptance. It's just, I mean, they were lucky to keep a hold of Strand Larsen, weren't they? He was nearly gone at
I
the
think
end of
he
the
has to go,
transfer
didn't he?
window. Yeah, I think he asked to go, and I think I've forgotten what happened, but somehow he
Well,
stayed,
I
and I
think
don't see him being there
I think was it
past
not?
January.
I might be wrong, but was it not? Was he also looking at the Newcastle move? And I think Vissa got in there first.
That's it. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It was the Newcastle spot that was up for grabs, and he wanted it. And
You
no, I'll
couldn't
be honest with you.
you couldn't as a Wolves owner. There's no way you could have done that. You've lost Cunha, you've lost Aït-Nouri. If you like get rid of him as well, you know what I mean. You're relegated before the season started.
Exactly. That is, I hate to use this word, but in this context, it's suicidal. Do you know what I mean? You losing that level of ability in your side and not replacing it is suicidal in Premier League football. And I think they are paying for that. And what's worse is, like you said, seeing the likes of Brentford who were ripped apart, Bournemouth backline who were ripped apart, seeing them still thriving because they replaced them, because they're almost proving they didn't need them. It must be horrible. It must be horrible for Wolves to watch at the moment. There must just be a level of acceptance that it's time. It's time to rebuild, like you said.
Yeah, other side of the pitch, Palace. I don't even mention the scoreline. Did I mention it? Wolves nil, Palace 2. I might have done. Yeah, I've not really got much to say about Palace. To be fair, they're just sort of again another team that just grind it out. I love Glasner. You know what I mean? They're flying. They've got some great players. There's not really much else I can say about Palace. We all know how good they are.
Yeah, they're just ticking along. They're ticking along. I think. I mean, I'm so pleased to see them win the FA Cup. So pleased to see them win that. It was a brilliant day for fans, for everybody involved, and they're still going. I think that's the Glasner effect. I think that they needed, bless them. I think they needed that manager to come in, that exciting young manager. I think potentially time is limited because I think he'll be wanted by a bigger side before long. Same with Iriola. Excuse me. But I think they've got some great players. I mean, they're almost looking like they're not missing Eze. Do you know what I mean? They've lost Eze and who was it they lost? Oh, the winger. I've forgotten the winger that they lost. Young
Oh,
winger. Oh, forget it. Forget it.
I
They
was going
lost
to
him
say
as
actually.
well.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So they've lost him as well. They've lost Eze, which were key parts of their attacking outlet. His face is in my mind. It's really annoying me. But they're just ticking along. It's great. Yeah, and you're right. There's not much to say. They're ticking along, and 2-0 win, brilliant. Mateta's a beast.
I'm going to have to say actually because it is going to annoy me. Who?
Who was it?
This is not great podding, but I need to find out. You know,
Oh, I've forgotten. He's literally in my head right now.
Who did Palace sell this summer? Transfers. Well, that's not working. That's great. Not Michael Lisa.
No. Oh no, it is. Yeah, no, it is Elise. It is Elise. That's who I'm thinking.
That's so obvious. Yeah, he went to Bayern Munich, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. Literally the one I was thinking. You think Eze and Elise? They were the key names for Palace. Literally, it's as if they never lost them. It's like
That
Eze
wasn't this
and
summer though,
Elise.
was it?
Who? No, it was when was it?
I can't. It must have been season before because he won the league with Bayern, didn't he?
Yes, because Elise left, and then there was rumours Eze was going to go, and then Eze didn't go, and I think a lot of us were saying, "Thank God he didn't," because losing both of them in one transfer window would have been catastrophic. But to be fair, they've now lost both of them, and they don't care. They're just getting on, and it's admirable.
Yeah, and like another team that we'll rattle through these last two games, but the other team that's been ripped apart is Brentford. Did lose this one 2-1 to Brighton, uh, but life after Frank and everyone else that's departed from Brentford, it's not been too bad for them, has it?
No, and I expected them to be a lot worse. I expected them to be in that Wolves camp of not replacing them, and I think they've fallen on their feet with Igor Thiago being in form. I think he's great. Do I think they'll do special things this season? Probably not, but I think they'll be all right. They'll be fine.
See, both of these teams, to be honest, I didn't watch the game, but both of these teams are teams that can just trip anybody up at any moment.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, especially Brighton at the Annex.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do like Brighton. To be fair, they are quality, and it's great to see Welbeck
Can't
score.
hate them. Goal as well. Good goal. I think it was the ball in. Who was it? I wrote it down. Who put the ball in? Let me see if I can find it. Do-do-do-do. Of course, it's on my first page. I did write notes for this, that
Well, you're more,
professional that I am.
more prepared than me, mate. Well, is it? Did they get the assist, or did they just put the ball in?
I didn't even write who put the ball in. That's how bad I am. I didn't even write who put the ball in.
How bad you are? I didn't even make any notes. Do you mean Minter?
That was it. It was Yankuba Minter. He put the ball in. Beautiful ball on a platter for Welbeck. Welbeck slots it home. It's a hard finish actually for Welbeck. I say it's put on a silver platter. It's on a silver platter because of Welbeck's movement and Welbeck's clinical nature. Brilliant goal. Really good.
I love Minter. I think it's quality.
Me too.
Last game of the week then. Fulham 1, Sunderland 0. Fulham needed this, didn't they?
Fulham absolutely needed this. I think Fulham have been really under the radar in terms of underperforming in a lot of games. They've either really underperformed or they've managed to grab a 1-0, 2-0 win. And I think they're another one that are just going to glide through this season. I don't think they'll be in trouble. I think they've got the personnel to be fine. But yeah, they needed this one, and I guess they probably wouldn't have expected it given how informed Sunderland are.
Yeah, I mean, what's your opinion on Marco Silva? I mean, obviously, I'm from Hull, so I've followed Marco Silva for quite a while now. But the Fulham are always around that sort of 8th to 13th, 14th spot, aren't they? And are Fulham happy with that? Can they push on any further with Marco Silva, or what's your thoughts?
I think I probably imagine they're not happy with the 13th, but I think the 8th end of that spectrum, I think that's probably their max, unless there was masses of investment and bringing in a big name or getting lucky with the transfer, something like that that could potentially push them further up because it has been done. I think if Marco Silva has the ability, we've mentioned decent managers who could potentially move on in Iriola and who's the other one? Glasner. We mentioned them as potential people who were going to be scooped up, and I think Marco Silva could be one of them. I know we were rumoured with him when, well, pretty much every time we lose a manager, we're rumoured with him, but we would never buy him out of Fulham. So I think he could go elsewhere and potentially win more. But he's another one that goes under the radar a little bit because of the likes of Iriola and Glasner who are achieving. I think he's so if you watch a lot of football, you appreciate how good he is type situations. Um, but if you don't watch that much football, he's maybe not a name that comes up that often.
Yeah, you see, I think maybe Marco Silva going to a team like, sorry about this, but West Ham or like a Palace or something like that, it just feels a bit of a sideward step rather than an upward
Right.
step. He wants to be maybe the Tottenham job. You know, what I mean, I think we've been linked with him a few times, to be fair. So, yeah, I think something like that would be a step up for him. But so, I mean, yes, like you said, great win under Sunderland's form recently as well. I mean, I'm not worried about Sunderland. You know, I was expecting them to go down, but I think they're going to be absolutely fine.
I mean, I've been captivated by them. I think they are so full of spirit, and I think that is what is dragging them through. They are not the most technically gifted side. We could list teams who arguably are more technically gifted, have the better players, but there is something about their mentality. I mean, it got through the playoffs in extraordinary manner. It's just a mentality thing. I think this shows how important confidence and belief and love for the game can get you through it. Because I just think they are so. I mean, Xhaka being added to the situation has been massive for them. I
Okay,
think he's completely.
is there a better promoted team that's had a better transfer window than what Sunderland had?
I mean, arguably not. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, that was genius. That was genius. I mean, he's completely balanced the shit. He's one of those players that I think there was two similar transfers this window of Henderson going to Brentford and Xhaka going to Sunderland. And you could argue that Henderson going to Brentford would get the bigger headlines. But Xhaka's just completely balanced the ship. He puts them together as a side, and I'm a big fan of that. Of midfield for me is where great teams become great teams, and I think that's not great teams become great teams. Good teams become great teams. Um, I think that's where Sunderland have really, they've really stuck with what they believe in, and everything about it is so you're almost in it. Do you know what I mean? You're like when they played Arsenal, I was really going for them to get that equaliser. I just want them to do well because there's like this spirit around them, and they'll be fine. They will be absolutely fine. It's a joy to watch Sunderland at the moment. They can beat anybody.
Yeah, and the fans need to enjoy it as well, don't they? Like they've been through a lot, Sunderland, and anyone who's seen the documentary understands how much love there is in that club from the staff, etc. And they deserve it. They deserve a run in the Premier League. It is good to have them back, but I did at the start of the season tip all three teams that came up to go back down again, but they've done the opposite to what Wolves did. I mean, they've seen what they need to do and they've adapted to it, and they've bought the players that they need. They've bought the experience, and yeah, they're going to be fine. I'm so happy for them.
Oh, 100%. And I think that buying the experience is the key thing there. It's like they had that youth and that. I mean, Dan Ballard comes to mind immediately. That belief, that youth, that inexperience. That when inexperience can almost be a positive because they're not scared. They had that already. They bought in the experience of the likes of Xhaka, and it's just a match made in heaven, and it's just brilliant recruitment. Just I'm thrilled for them, like you.
I think that's just about everything that we've covered. We've covered all the games, haven't we? What can we expect from beyond the whistle going forward? Well, to be honest, we don't quite know, but we've got a lot of ideas. There's a lot of stuff that we want to do in terms of eventually live streaming some games and stuff like that. But it's all in the works. But we're all over social. Well, I say all over. I think we've got Instagram and TikTok, haven't we? I think we've
Yeah,
got to focus on them two at the moment. You've got your own TikTok as well, haven't you, Russ?
I do. I am Gracewell Football on Instagram and TikTok. That's how you can find me.
Yeah, and I do an FPL podcast, FPL Reviewed. That usually goes out weekly. And I've got a behind the mic media where we just do like loads of different stuff, mainly comedy stuff. But yeah, go check them two out. We'll put links in and stuff like that. Grace, what was your game of the week?
Ball put me on the spot. Game of the week. Game of the week. Oh, I think it's going to have to be Newcastle Man City.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the one for
yeah.
me.
That's the one I was gonna go for. To be fair, so yeah, Newcastle Man City, absolute highlight of the week. End to end stuff, quality for a neutral.
100%. It's the type of football I love watching as a neutral. Love it.
Yeah, yeah, Matt. Do you know what? I absolutely enjoyed that, and I'm really looking forward to the to this journey on the podcast. So, but yeah, I will put all the links to our socials in the bio. We're going out on Spotify.
How exciting. Hello, Spotify.
And we are going to be visual as well because someone has managed to figure out how to edit videos. Not very well.
Oh no,
Not very
you
well.
didn't tell me that.
Yeah, well, I haven't. I'm not. I'm not great, but we'll see. I'm sure the viewers will let us know in the comments. But yeah, Grace Wild Football. FPL reviewed, behind the mic, and most importantly, Grace, beyond the whistle.
Absolutely. We're here every week. See you next week, Matty.
See you next week, Grace. Thanks, guys. Have I stopped that?